Some of you may be wondering, what are the differences between NASA and SpaceX? After all, don't they both just build rockets to go to space? Actually, they have many fundamental differences, but the main one being who owns it and how it started. So let's begin with NASA. It was created in 1958 under President Eisenhower with the purpose of peaceful exploration for the benefit of mankind. NASA was the organization that got the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong. What about SpaceX? So you may know Elon Musk for his infamous tweets or relentlessly working hours, but most importantly, he has made important contributions to the advancement of technology. He founded SpaceX in 2002 with the purpose of colonizing Mars in order to avoid the extinction of the human race on Earth. He believes that becoming an intergalactic species is the only way to ensure the long-term survival of the human species, as our sun will one day die. He has claimed that in 50 years, SpaceX will be providing transport systems across planets for 1 million people. So to an extent, SpaceX and NASA are competitors, and a phrase of the first public and private space race was even dubbed to their competition. Both of them are racing to provide missions which bring wealthy space tourists around the moon. NASA is also planning to open the space station to tourists for $35,000 a night. What about their funding? So SpaceX gains funds from launching commercial satellites into space. They are able to charge around $62 million per launch. It also charges $20 million for each time it sends supplies to the International Space Station. Thus, they are able to get around $1.3 billion in revenue and $195 million in profit. Meanwhile, NASA is government funded and so can gain a large amount of money from the United States. What about the spaceships that both of them use? One of SpaceX's main spaceships is the Falcon Heavy. Elon Musk mentioned the Falcon Heavy in a September 2005 news update, but concepts for the vehicle were first developed around 2004. The Falcon Heavy was officially unveiled by SpaceX in a 2011 conference. Now let's listen to what Elon Musk has to say about the Falcon Heavy.
Most space organizations, government or commercial, have set their sights too low. They've really built relatively small rockets. And Falcon Heavy is the first time that there's something that's arguably even in the super heavy class.
The Falcon Heavy is actually one of the most powerful operational rockets in the world by a factor of 2. It can lift 141,000 pounds, which is a mass greater than a 737 jetliner loaded with passengers, crew, luggage, and fuel. The Falcon Heavy rocket lifted off for the first time in 2018, where 100,000 spectators crowded the area's beaches and roadways to watch the rocket launch. This rocket is also a part of Musk's plan to make space travel cheaper, as it is able to actually land its side boosters after being used, which allows them to be refueled and ready for use once again. But what about NASA? NASA actually regularly uses Russian rockets to launch. This is because NASA stopped its space shuttle program in 2011 and so had to rely on the Soyuz spacecrafts made by Russia. However, Russia was increasing its prices to almost a quadruple rate, so NASA decided to contact private firms instead. And this actually brings us to the collaboration between SpaceX and NASA. You may have heard of the historic launch that was recently done by a collaboration of SpaceX and NASA. On May 30th, 2020, the Falcon 9, which is SpaceX's rocket, launched with astronauts from NASA. Watch the historic event happen.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
This marked the first time in history that NASA astronauts launched from American soil in a commercially built and operated American crew spacecraft on its way to the International Space Station. NASA actually decided to contract private firms, which were both Boeing and SpaceX. So you may be wondering why NASA employed 2 firms rather than just one. Well, that was a strategic decision on NASA's part in order to account for any failures or risk. And this is exactly what happened. Boeing faced major setbacks with their space shuttle, and so SpaceX came out on top. Now SpaceX and NASA are actually helping each other, as SpaceX gets the valuable funding for itself, while NASA is able to launch its astronauts to space. Ultimately, they have drastically different ownerships, and slightly different goals which sometimes align and foster their collaboration. NASA is concerned with space exploration as a whole, as it has various spacecrafts in deeper space, while SpaceX is concerned with colonizing Mars and promoting space travel. NASA is in fact one of SpaceX's many commercial customers. Hopefully now you understand how SpaceX and NASA differ. Stay tuned for our next video on Spark.